Hello and welcome to the Grow Places podcast, where we explore the virtuous circle of people, growth and place. Brought to you by Grow Places and hosted by our founder, Tom Larsson.
Christian, thank you very much for joining me today.
Of course.
I'm really grateful we managed to squeeze this in. We're sat in Copenhagen. We met a couple of days ago and I learned about what you're doing here and just felt compelled to have this conversation to be able to share it with more people. So thank you.
I'm glad that you are interested in our project, so happy to be here.
Great. And then, so why don't you give an introduction to yourself and the project here?
Yeah. So my name is Christian and I'm the head of Saxogade, which is run by an NGO called Settlemental. Settlemental has been doing work in the city of Copenhagen for more than 100 years and more especially here in Vesterbro, in the neighborhood that we are in right now. Settlemental has always been about how can we create a social change, how can we do more for people who has less, and how can we help them to help themselves really, how can we give them agency to create a better life and also create a future for themselves. So that has been our drive all the way, and now here in Saxogade, where we sit now, we have been working since 1986, doing a Socio-Economic street, where the main driver is to create great internships, great job training programs for people who have been outside the job market for a very long time or never been there due to illness, social challenges, or other issues in their lives. So we create an opportunity for them to come back into the society, work society you can say, and also be back in the working community that a lot of us enjoy to be part of, but they have never been or never really felt the right way in a workplace. So that's really what we do. And every week we have around 100 people going through the 9 shops that we have here in Saxogade and doing a lot of different stuff. We have a cafe, one of the first in Copenhagen, called Cafe Sonia. And there people are serving coffee, doing the dishes, making the food ready for our customers, and are really working as colleagues. But we have some, we are try to, we are planning the work so they are actually able to do the tasks. So one task can be a lot of subtasks, so that the individual person who is in the internship can actually feel that they are creating a value in the cafe. So they are actually doing real tasks. It's not something that we come up with because they have to do something. It's actually something they do because our customers need food on the table, right? So one task that could be something that I could do for 10 minutes can be something that the 3 interns can do for half an hour or something like that, because they have some illnesses that we need to be aware of, or they need to have a break every 15 minutes or something like that. So that's really just one example of how we can do a lot of different tasks for our job training program. And then we also we are socio-economic, so we have the social part, which is the internship and the 100 great people coming here every week. And then we also real shops, so we are commercial enterprise, and we need to make sure that we have customers, we need to make sure that we have a revenue, and we also need to make sure that we are attractive offer for the customers here in Vesterbro. So every shop is also about how can we invite people in and how can they buy our stuff and do that. So that's another thing, and the third thing we really care about here is creating a community. And you talk a lot about community these days and how can we be for everyone, but we really mean when we say that we are for everyone, and by that it's also very focused on no matter what kind of social background you have or you come from, there can be something for you here in Saxogade and in Settlemental as a whole. But when we talk about Saxogade here, it's really about how can we make sure that the different shops and the different events we do is for everyone, and how can we make sure that when we do an event, we have activities at that single event that could be for everyone. So it's not for everyone to be a part of an event with a lot of people, so how can we have a room or an activity for the few so they can enjoy it as well. That's something that we we work with, and how can we be even better at that is also something we talk about all the time at the moment. But it's also very much in the creation of the events. So we're really caring about that. It's not me and my colleagues developing the events. It should be the volunteers, and it should also be the volunteers with different social background, because we believe that would create more diverse events, but also events that couldn't come up if I just did it myself. New ideas, new ways to participate in an event. And the whole creation process of an event is actually just as important as the end product, because we believe that the creation process you do in a community with other volunteers is very rewarding in a personal way, because the creation of something together with others is really that also something that I have learned myself is really given and is really valuable for yourself. And then when you see the outcome and you see guests to the event also enjoying it, it's just everything just goes up on a higher note, right? So it's really important, but also and a thing that's important as well is also about the agency, that a person who has been maybe needed help all his or her life now can be someone that can do something for others and not should be the one individual that always has to be cared about. So the fact that you can as a person deliver value to others and not be the one who always needs is super important. And we also make sure that an event, just as our task in the shops, can be a lot of subtasks. And maybe you're only able to attend half an hour at the event, and you are the one saying hello to people when they come in at the door. Then that's a task in itself, and that can be enough. And the fact that you have been part of that is just something that you can go home and be proud of and feel that you are part of creating that atmosphere at that event, and that would be enough. So you don't have to be there for 5 hours if it's a 5-hour event. You can be part of it in a very small way, and that's just as good as if you were a volunteer who were doing 100 hours a year in Saxogade. So, and it's really not easy to do that, because we need to be it's actually super difficult to find a lot of subtasks in the bigger tasks, and it's difficult to coordinate, because it can be a lot of different people coming to an event, and people can also be attending as volunteers at different times at the same event. So it's not easier to do events in this way, and we actually don't necessarily see our volunteers as resources as you see it as many other places. I come myself from the festival background, and in that area you see really volunteers as a resource, because that's the only way you can get a beer or cleaning the toilets. But here it's more about being part of something and being part of doing something for others, and not necessarily that you are making it easier for us as the event host to do the event. So that's quite important actually for us, that it's more about the creation of the events and being part of it as a volunteer that's important, and not necessarily that they solve a task for us. No,
it's absolutely incredible, and thank you very much for sharing that. And is this unique? Are there lots of examples of things like this, or?
Actually, we haven't met it anywhere in the world.
Oh, really?
So we're actually saying that we are the only socio-economic street in the world. So of course that's also important to say here. We haven't heard about it, or someone haven't. So we believe that we are the only socio-economic street in the world, and that's something that we are really proud of. It's not something that we did overnight. We have been here for 40 years, so it's really something that has been built up and also changed during the 40 years. But as far as we know, we are the only one in the world, and that's really something to be proud of. Yeah,
incredible. And what would you say is the unique thing experientially about the place? So you've described the model and the relationship between people, but is there any kind of one thing that comes to mind? You're like, God, that really exemplifies this place.
I think it is that you really see in a very modern place of Copenhagen. Vesterbro is a very developed place and also changed a lot during the last 40 to 30 years. And a lot of people are actually looking like similar to each other, right? But here at Saxogade, you see that there are still difference in people at Vesterbro and in Copenhagen. So you feel that there are others than yourselves in Copenhagen. So there is kind of a diversity in the street that I think you can feel right away when you're here visiting the shops or the cafe. So that's one thing. We're also trying to, just as a very basic thing, we're trying to make sure that people understand that we are one collective street, that all the shops share the same values and working for the same mission. So that's also quite important. So we also try to look quite similar. You know, we want to be sure that people understand that this is also part of settlemental social work. So that's also a basic thing. But I really think it's more about that you feel that we are really a community for everyone, and you feel that there are a lot of different people, which also makes it very rich, because we have a lot of stories from a lot of people who have been through a lot of stuff, some of it really bad stuff, but also a lot of great stories about a great life, and that is stories that live within every shop and also in the events we do in the street. So I think that's very nice. And also I live myself at Nørrebro, and of course live and have my life in Copenhagen, and we are quite similar in Copenhagen, and sometimes it's easier to look away from stuff that you don't want to see, if it's people who are social challenged or what else it could be, but here you really just we open it to everyone, and it's also like it's everyday life. It's not something special. It's just people are here because they live in the city. And we don't hide them, or they don't hide themselves. They are part of their real life at Vesterbro, and that's really something that I hear from others coming here, that they see that right away, and I think it's really also rich to them to see that this is just the Copenhageners, and not only the one going to all the popular events and stuff like that.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and it's just, aside from everything that you said, it's
Mm-hmm.
also just a great street.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, you could walk down this and it is a thriving, brilliant street. It's
Mhm.
diverse. There's lots of
Mhm.
different things going on, and
Yeah.
and that's testament as well, isn't it? That you don't. It stands on its own as a good street.
Yeah.
Aside from everything else great that you're doing with the
Yeah.
place, and that must be good for the people who are
Yeah,
in the community.
Yeah, and it's very important for us that we are a street, and that we kind of compete, you can say, with the other street in Copenhagen on the same level. So the quality in our shops and the quality in our events and the quality in the community we create here is as good as all the others, and I would say better in many cases also, because we have a really diverse group of people here. But it's very important that you don't choose us because you feel pity for these people, because that's not the case. We really need them to be here because they enjoy our coffee in Café Sonja, or that they enjoy coming here and buying a bike. So it's quite important that we kind of compete on the same levels as all the other shops in the city, but also compete on the different events you can see in Copenhagen. Because they should not come here because they want to feel pity about the people here, because they don't need that. They need to feel that they are part of the daily work here, the same way as all of the other of us.
Yeah.
So that's very important.
Yeah, and what would are there any individual stories that you can tell from the people who you've helped to come in, found that maybe that sense of purpose or direction, and what it's done for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I actually have two cases. One is we had an older guy. He was when he started here, he was actually homeless, and he had a job many years ago at a library, and then his life took some turns, and he also had had an alcohol problem, and really his life wasn't on track, and actually a lot away of the track. He started here, and we developed a great task for him that he could do when he were here in one of our shops in Saxogade, and he really he grew up in that task, and he really became proud of being part of something. He was really great of being part of a place where he could deliver value to both the store, but also people who were reading his stuff. He was writing stuff for Instagram, and at the same time as he was having a valuable internship where he actually delivered value to someone, he were also getting help from our mentors. Every intern in Saxogade has a mentor. The mentor was helping him finding a way in his life in terms of trying to get an apartment. That's also what we do. It's like we really look around the individual person and say, how can we make sure that there isn't any large obstacles in the private life outside of the working life that actually is a barrier that they can't join our work. So that's also something that we are looking into for every individual who's here. And that succeeded, so he got an apartment. That was super proud about that, coming here and sharing with everyone in the store, and was like, I got an apartment. And next up, we have company consultancies who's taking over when they have done their internship here in Saxogade, trying to figure out how can we find a job for this person outside of Saxogade. And we have 175 companies which we are collaborating with, and the company consultancy here talked to this person here and was like, how can we find something? And they actually succeeded in finding an internship outside of Saxogade, and it ended up being a job for him. So a person who, and he also was taken care of in terms of his alcohol problems and all of that. So he came really like a person who didn't see a future for himself, and it could also look like he had some that he was kind of right about that, right? But we really saw him for what he could and what he also enjoyed doing, and he created value here, but also got the confidence to look into his issues in his life, and where we helped him taking care of himself, you can say. So we gave him the agency and the trust in himself that he could do his life in another way, and it helped him getting an apartment, and it also helped him getting a job. And one thing that I really learned, I've been here in Saxogade and in Settlemental for 2 years. One thing that I've really learned is I've never met a person who don't want to be part of a work community. I've never met a person who say I will rather sit at home all day doing nothing. That doesn't exist, and sometimes politicians and others like to tell that story, but I have never met it. And if there should be someone who wants to just be at home, it could be some of the people here, because they have so many issues, right? But they really want to contribute, and they really want to create value for others. So this person I'm talking about here was super proud of the fact that he was now making his own money, and he was also creating value for someone at his new workplace. So that's just an extremely meaningful gift for him, of course, but also for us who works here, because that's what it's all about. Dragging him out of the system, and also making sure that he believed in himself and believed in a new future, and putting him somewhere where he create values for himself, but also for others, and in the end also for the whole society, because he's part of giving instead of someone who needs help. So that's one story which I'm really happy about telling, because it's just going from something that could be in many eyes really dark and a dark future to something that is you can say a normal life, if that exists.
Yeah, Christian, that's brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And how does it actually work in practice then? Do you own the assets? Do you own the buildings? Do you get subsidies? Could you talk a little bit about how you do this?
Yeah, so Settlemental, when Settlemental decided to say we're gonna do something here in Saxogade, it was in the 80s, and it was the oil crisis back then was really tough on Copenhagen, and we also saw all other things like the unemployment rate, especially with the young people, were very high, and also supermarkets emerged overall. So it was a lot of the shops who did one special thing, they needed to close because you can get it all now in the supermarket. So we had a situation here in Saxogade where all the shops were closed, and the young people were they didn't have anything to do, so they were doing trouble on the streets, and back then, Larsson, who was the founder of Saxogade, he thought, could we find a way where we could mix the fact that people were not doing anything on the street, actually doing trouble, and that the shops were closed? Could we kind of merge those two and see what could happen? And that's really how we started back then. I actually lost the question. Tom, what was it about?
No, it's fine. It was just about the how do you go about it, the model, ownership of the buildings, the relationship with the state, funding those kind of things.
So in Settlemental, we actually don't own the assets. Yeah. So we are renting the assets from the co-ops here. And the co-ops are also very interested, especially back then in the 80s where all the shops were closed, is very interested in having a life in the streets and don't have closed stores, right? Because of the rent, but also because of the life and the neighborhood, what it creates. If you have an area, and I think the same rules applies today, is that if you have an area with empty shops and no life in the streets, it's actually a bit more unsafe to be there, because what happens then, and graffiti all over, and sometimes something gets destroyed and all of that. So they were of course interested in actually activating the shops. So we rent the spaces, and then we have developed since then different kind of shops, and we also very much aware that we need to develop shops and tasks within those shops that actually fits the needs for the people coming here as an interns. So actually the only shop that we still have is Café Sonia, which has been there for 40 years. And then the others have changed over time, also because of what needs do we have. Of course, we want to make sure that we have a shop for a longer time, also because it's expensive to open it and close it again. So we try to have it for many years, of course, but we need to have some kind of flexibility in the shops, because we need to make sure that we actually have the right tasks for the citizens coming here doing a job training program. And our whole economic model is really like it is really social economy in its best, because we have our whole social work with our job training program is something we work together with the Copenhagen municipality and the job center, which is called. So we wanna, I don't know what it's called, but we got they are a client for us, you can say. So every interns coming here, they are paying something for that, because we are making sure that they, that we make sure that they come to jobs or get out of the system and all of that. And so that's one part. And then of course we have our the sales in the shops, the whole commercial thing. That's also one part. And then we also apply for funding, different funds, small, big. I think it's around 120 funds in total that we work with in Settlemental, and a lot of them also in Saxogade. So it's kind of a three-legged chair, that's our economy, and that's also really strong, because then we can't, if a shop closes down or something, we don't need the commercial sales there. We can kind of figure it out, right? Because we have other things to follow on. So that's really great, and it is really a big collaborations also with the Copenhagen municipality. I think a lot of times you can hear that the job center is really difficult to work with and all of that, but we really go into that partnership as partners in that way, that we want to make sure that every that we and the job center thinks that this is a valuable partnerships. So we really see it as something that we need to develop together. How do we make sure that we are the best offer for the individual person? And we work really well with the job center about that. We also have two from Copenhagen job center sitting here at the office at the Settlement to make sure that we are really close in the decisions around the different citizens. So we really have a great partnership with them, and I also think that's one of the key elements why we work so well, is that we really work with the system and not against the system. Of course, we have sometimes citizens coming here who needed to start in a internship, who really don't believe in the system and really haven't had the greatest experience with the system. So part of our work is also talking to them about how do we are not the municipality, we are a private organization, a private NGO, but we work with the system, but also for the help of the citizen. So that's really important for us to do that. So it's really, it's really how it should be, but it's not for everyone to say that it is like that. But we really have a good partnership with them.
Yeah, brilliant. And you were saying to me the other day when you met that you economically you can pretty much compete with other streets or with in terms of rent, because you obviously have the base levels of rent that you get, then you get the grants or the subsidies from the government. So do you see that is a model?
It's actually not grants or subsidies. No. They're actually paying us. Actually, that's also a commercial relationship.
Okay, could you explain that? Yeah, sorry.
So it's so the Copenhagen Job Center and the Copenhagen municipality has a job for someone to solve, and then different actors apply for doing that job, and we won it. So we are actually doing this task that they have, which is doing the internship. So we won that won that task the same way as you can win a project in development, right? So that's actually also a commercial relationship, right? So it's not that they are giving us a grant or something for that. That's something else when we do that. That's more private funding when we do that. So this is actually like a commercial relationship, and that's really important as well, because it also means that they know that we can live up to it, right? It's really, and they also want us to do, of course, but we can also do that, and we are actually doing it really, really well.
Brilliant, yeah. And could this be done on other streets in Copenhagen? Why is it not in that sense?
I think that's a very good question, and it's something I've been thinking a lot about myself. Why don't we see other streets in Copenhagen, and also why don't we see other streets in the world doing this? Because I really think that the whole business model around socio-economy here really makes sense, because in Copenhagen we also see a lot of shops closing down because it's really difficult to compete with the internet, and of course we also see that challenge here in Saxogade, but it's we have the whole work, the whole social work, the whole social dimension in socio-economy that really is one of the reasons why we don't have to close our shops. So we have a more like secured way of running a business. It's still super tough, but it's we have that whole thing about doing the internship programs, which makes us a bit more safe than someone who wasn't doing that. Yeah. And of course, it's not everyone who can have interns with a lot of needs and a lot of things you need to be aware of. But maybe if you slowly educated yourself in that direction, or helped yourself talking to others who was doing it, for example us, then I actually think a lot more could do it. So of course we can do it, and we have been doing it for 40 years because we are really good at it, and that we have really skilled workers all around. But I actually think it could be something others were also doing. But they need to. I also think they need to get educated in the area of how difficult is it and how difficult is it not to do. I also think there's a lot of knowledge that people don't have around this area, and I think that can be the reason why people don't just jump into it.
Yeah. So you have, if you try to take a practical example, just so I'm really trying to learn from this model because I'm so fascinated by it.
Yeah.
So if you take like the barber shop opposite or something, and you take the equivalent shop, the same size, 3 streets away, how does that compare, say, annually in terms of how much rent that they're paying, like in a simple kind of commercial level, like because you, as you say, your model is more nuanced, isn't it? How do you have a feel for how that would compare?
I think you can if you take our children's shop, which is quite when you come inside and see that it's a very nice, beautiful children's shop, and I think you wouldn't necessarily be aware that this is part of a socio-economic street, and then you see people going there, and then you maybe understand it in a while. But I think if you compare that to another children's shop, then I think it's actually the same and maybe even a bit more in terms of how good the economy is. What we see now in that area is that a lot of children's shop is closing in Copenhagen, but we are not. We can see that it's a difficult market, that's for sure. We are not like going around that, but but we are still here. So I think that's a very concrete example.
Just to push on that example a little bit more. Do you have why is that one still here and not the one elsewhere?
I think it's because that we are not only here to sell goods, we are also here to do the internships, and that's also something that we getting paid for, right? So it's not only the goods that we are selling that is making sure we are there, it's also because of the work we do for people who need to find a new way in their life. And that's really like core to what we do in Saxogade, right? So we have both components, and that's the reason why we are a bit more safe as a physical shop. It's still super tough, and I also think that it's very important to note as well that we every day is trying to find a balance between the commercial side and also the social side. That's super difficult, because what we can see is that if we have a lot of job training, if we have a lot of people in job training in one shop, we can do less in the commercial side. If we focus a lot of the commercial side, we can do less on the job training side. So it's really finding the right balance, and we try to figure out what the right balance is every week. And of course we are pretty good at it, but it's still something that we really struggle with, and also because the people who are coming here in the internship, in the job training program, of course they're different, every one of them. So we're also trying to figure out what task fits best for the different individual, right? So in that way the shops also changed a bit all the time, because we need to figure out, okay, now you're here, what can you do? What would you like to do, and how can we help you? Mm-hmm. But it's really, so without any data behind me or anything, my take on it is really that because we are socio-economic, we are more likely to survive than the shops who isn't.
Yeah.
Someone would, I guess, challenge me on that, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, and it's a sustainable model, isn't it? It's been going for 40 or so years, as you say, and the street is thriving. You can see that.
Yeah.
And I know, if I cycle a couple of streets up, it isn't as vibrant and interesting as this street, and that's testament to that. And is that what you've described? You mentioned to me before about this the step process or something. Is that?
Yeah, we have a method called the stepping stone method, and that's really, we see Saxogade as a stepping stone towards job or education. So when people arrive here in the internship program, they have been, as I said, outside the job market for quite a long time, and they need a stepping stone back into it, or they are in the beginning of their working career, so they need a stepping stone to start their career. And that's a method that we have been developing for 15 years now, and it's been evaluated and proven to work, and it's really something that we are proud of. We have 8 steps in that stepping stone method where we.
Can you talk through those steps?
I can't remember all of them, but it's really. I can get it. I have it in the flyer.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we'll come back to it.
But it's really 8 steps about how do we make sure that when a person is starting in Settlemental in our job training program, how do we make sure that we actually deliver on the mission that we have, that we need to pull people out of the system so they can have a dream for themselves in the future. And I think one of the steps is that we are super close to the different interns here. So, and every intern have a mentor, and they have a contact in the shop, which would be the shop manager, and they also have company consultancies when they are ready to move on to another internship. And every person have that. And then we have meetings every week with them, and every month with the manager of the shop to talk about what's going, how's it going, what's going really well, where do we have some challenges that we need to talk about, and how can we accommodate those, and how can we move on from that, or how can we change the tasks so that you actually are able to succeed in what you do. And we do that with every person, every week, every month. and that's super important. And we do it together with the intern. So we're not talking about the intern without the intern being there. So, and that's also quite important, because that's also back to the fact that we are giving them agencies to help themselves in their life, and they are not helpless. They are just people who need guidance and some great places to be, where we actually believe in what they can and also sees what they can't, and also find a way to figure out how we still make it work. So there are a lot of great steps. I can't remember all of them now, but it's really something that we have been developing and also proven to work, and it works, and it's something that people also see working. So we are
incredible. And so, Christian, for you personally, you're clearly incredibly passionate and purposeful, and that struck me the other day. Like, as soon as I met you, it was great to just hear that, and I'm sure everyone listening has got that from you today. But do you have a sense of why are you doing this?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm still quite early in my work career. I would say I'm in the mid 30s. So for me, I understood that the reason why I should wake up every morning and do something should really be something that I thought was meaningful. And when I struck by this job and then also the opportunity to work in Settlemental, it was really clear to me that here I could be doing something that was where it was quite clear for me who is I'm actually working for, and what is all the time I use in my life at work, how is that actually creating a value for someone. And here it's just really clear to me, who is it that I create that value for. It's people who really needs a new path in their life, and it's people who have been struggling a lot, which need a community they can be part of, where they are not seeing for everything they can't do, but what they can do, and also where they understand that it's okay to be as they are. So that meaning, and that is super important for me. And at the same time, I'm really driven in the work of also the Saxogade is really a really nice platform for testing a lot of stuff, and it's a really nice platform for showing the world how we could create cities, and also how we could do city development. Really, I don't think that Settlemental necessarily started the project to show how placemaking or city development could be done, but I just think it's just a great case, because it's really the people we are working for, but in that sense it's also the city, and also we're creating another city experience because it is so people focused, and that's really nice, and it's something that is really inspiring to work with every day, to do something that really makes sense for some people, a lot of people, but also to have it as a platform for trying stuff out, and doing it in the middle of Copenhagen in a very nice area as Vesterbro is really fun. So in my former jobs, I've been working a lot with events and cultural development and city development and business development of creative companies and all of that, and that's also super giving for me to do that. But the whole people element have been a bit missing, because it's very people with a lot of resources who I have worked with in those cases. So to be able to do both, because I still have the whole project thing and the development thing here in Saxogade, but to doing that with all the people who really, which we can really be something for us, is really giving for me.
Yeah, well, it's brilliant that you're doing that, and you can see it's really giving you a lot of joy and purpose yourself. And do you have a sense, just going like a little bit deeper, like where that comes from in you? Like, is it because it's partly societal here, I know, which is really interesting, and I would say different from the UK and many other places. But do you have a sense of that?
Where it comes from me personal? Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's really. Maybe sometimes I can get the feeling that we are really lucky in Denmark, and we really a lot of us really has a great life, and also the really great possibilities to get all of it. As we a lot of us could really get almost everything we want, and then still we have a lot of people who can't in Denmark, and that's really unfair. So I think it's about how can it be that we are so fortunate in Denmark and in Copenhagen, and how can it be that so many can live whatever life they want, and still a lot of people can't do that. So I think it's about how can we. I think that's really just unfair. How can we work with that, and how can I be part of creating a better future for those who are not that fortunate? So I think that's something of it. I also think it's just about making sure that people knows that there are other people in the world that themselves, and that people are also different from them. It's also very giving for me that we can all live in our different echo chambers and be very very little aware of how is life and how is different life situations outside of our little own, and that's also very giving for me to see that someone is really living a tough life and have been doing that for many years, and we need to make sure how we can create how can we create more light futures for those people, and not so they don't look into darkness really, and that's something that we also do here every day, and it's very giving to be aware of that, and also try to move to a better future for those, because I think that we again back to echo chambers, we are really not that aware that here at Vesterbro it's becoming a really rich area, but still we're actually having more people living on the streets, and we are seeing the people who are coming here in internships, they really have tough backgrounds, and they have really been struggling with their lives, and that's happening at the same time as the whole city is becoming really rich, and that's just unfair, and that's something that we need to create spaces for to work with, but also to see that there are different people than you out there.
Christian, thank you very, very much for joining me today on the Grow Places podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Grow Places podcast. For more information, visit growplaces.com and follow us at We Grow Places across all social channels. See you next time.